And the things that we're talking about, get into a little bit of mental toughness, right? And Mike, that gets us directly into the next question. Do you think mental toughness can be taught? And if so, what are some of the strategies that you recommend around for people that are listening to this to develop some of those mental toughness strengths?
So, one, I'd love to give 100% credit to the military for building the foundation of mental toughness, but that goes to my folks, to my mom and dad. I grew up very fortunate in a great household. And in fact, that my mom always said it was an Italian proverb, but it's probably a proverb in every culture. Tell me who your friends are, and I'll tell you who you are. Iron sharpens iron, so as one man sharpens another, or a person. But you can build mental toughness. It just requires great coaches, mentors, and peers around you. And, exposing your kids, your soldiers, your colleagues within your work to hardship together. One, it's called shared hardship or shared adversity. And that builds homecoming, belonging, and vulnerability, which ultimately results in trust in this environment where you can admit mistakes without fear of retribution or condemnation. But you've got to get out of your comfort zones. You know the phrase in the military, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. It's when you force yourself to become uncomfortable, you build that mental toughness, that resiliency to adversity. But I had great coaches in the military and it was usually brotherly love. When I screwed up, they'd say, I'm not upset. I'm just disappointed. And they'd walk away. And they knew what they were doing, like just masters in psychology. And they knew I'd be in my own head. And when I fell, they were there to pick me up and say, again, what did you learn from the last one? Do it again. And say, nope, I've got higher expectations and standards than you hold for yourself. And they continually push me in a loving, sort of Socratic way of helping me build that mental toughness. But if you looked at, I'm not going to use my name in first person. If you looked at me from day one of the Marines to the 20-year mark as a SEAL officer, that mental toughness was built because of the people around me. And if I set low standards of, hey, let's try this, they'd be like, no, you're setting a low bar. It should be right here. And they'd see me be like, I don't know, man. That's what if we fail? And they'd say, that's the point. That's the point. And if we fail, guess what? We'll fail together. We'll learn. We'll reattack, and we'll get better because of it. But mental toughness can be taught. It should be taught in a very smart way. Expose your kids to increasingly or incremental amounts of adversity, and then be there to help them reflect, learn from it, and continually move that bar up for them. Because at the end of the day, leadership of men and women is no different than raising your children. We want to create competent, kind, empathetic, respectful human beings who contribute to society, but more importantly, have the ability to stand on their own 2 feet when we're gone and learn from their mistakes and then pass it on to the next generation. I hope we did that for the junior SEALs. And quite frankly, I think history's showing that the SEALs today are smarter, they're stronger, they're faster, they're more technologically advanced than we were. And they're ready to face whatever asymmetric challenges this very weird, chaotic world has in store for them. And they'll do a better job than we did. So, yeah.
To answer the question, mental toughness can be taught. Absolutely. And I agree 100%. I love the retrospecting. You talk about it in your book, the post-action, I forget the exact word of it, but it's called the after action review. Sorry, I had to just look it up, but I do an after action review like on everything. And my family gets so annoyed with me. I don't call it that, but I'm like, so let's break that down. Let's talk about it. And they're like, Dad, enough. Right? Like my kids are like, I don't want to analyze it, Dad. Can you just let it be? And I'm like, no, there's something we can learn from it. And they get so sick of me. But what I'm trying to get them to do is see, zoom out for a second and figure out the mental toughness moments of what they just went through in that sporting event or whatever the thing was, so they can do it. Like my son for Christmas got these Sony PlayStation gift cards, right? And we're putting the gift cards into the thing last night, and I went to go use the controller, and the controller thing kept going to the left, and I'm like, dude, did you Gronk spike the Sony PlayStation controller? And he's like, I'm like, you Gronk spiked it. Like, you totally Gronk spiked it. Like, how do I know he Gronk spiked it? Because I've Gronk spiked a controller. And like as a kid, like I broke multiple ones. And I'm like, let's zoom out. Like, and he just kept lying. And I'm like, dude, I'm more disappointed in you that you're lying to me right now than anything. And so you take those moments and you teach that mental toughness, and you dig into it, and you have those after action reviews, and it totally gets to it. So yeah, I love it. I love those moments of teaching, and you're absolutely right. It can be taught.